This is a special edition of Late Night Health. Hi, I'm Mark Allen. We're going to take a look at dating. Now, how do you date when we're all quarantined? That's been on our mind for the last 3, maybe even 4 months. And how do you meet somebody when you're stuck at home and you can't go out and not meet anybody? And even as we open up and more people are gathering together, it's still going to be a challenge to date. And we're going to speak with Daniella Bloom. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's all about authentic, honest communication. She has been called someplace here. I'm trying to look. She is the premier dating therapist in the Southern California area, soon to take over the world. Daniella, welcome to Late Night Health.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Is it true that it's possible to date even though we can't meet physically?
Absolutely. I mean, quarantine does not stop the desire to be connected, the desire to be seen as a man and as a woman. We still have our needs.
And looking at that need, when I was dating, there was a 3-date rule.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're laughing because, we're not going to say what that rule is, but how do you do that now? And is that rule still operative?
Well, I mean, I'm not so much about rules because when you start following a rule, you're getting out of your own intuition. I think the one universal rule that works no matter what generation we are is showing up authentically and showing up honestly right from the start. People really appreciate genuineness and sincerity. And the more you're not playing games, the more you are direct with your intentions and the value you bring to the table, that's the biggest turn on.
I agree with that. And I think that in today of COVID, coronavirus, and other diseases that didn't exist even a few years ago, the sexuality part of dating has got to have changed. At least I hope it has. I've been married for a lot of years, so I don't count. But dating, I mean, young kids from 18, 15 on, they need that connection. They don't want to be with mom and dad. If you're older and you have kids and your spouse has died or you're divorced, you still need a connection with people. Can we do that through the technology like Zoom and Skype? And there must be a half a dozen other technologies that we have where we can at least connect and see each other physically.
Absolutely. And the quarantine has actually forced us to communicate more with our thoughts and our feelings. And that doesn't necessarily come as easily to a lot of people, especially with generations who are big into texting. And the phone is very elusive option for them. A lot of people go from texting to meeting to texting again. And the phone call is actually a very intimate way, a very meaningful way of getting to know someone. So when we are at home and we have to connect with the phone or with a video chat, it forces people to really actively listen. And for a woman especially, one of our biggest turn-ons is, can a man actively listen to me? Are they really paying attention? Do they really care about what I have to say? And it actually builds up the excitement. So when you do get to go on a safe, socially distanced date, you kind of already have that comfort level and that feeling of anticipation with this person beforehand.
We're going to get to your background in just a second. The reason you are the premier dating coach, if you will, in the area.
Yes.
And we'll get to that in a second. What I've noticed is that millennials in particular just seem to text. Before coronavirus, before the COVID crisis, the pandemic, I'd watch people in a group. There'd be 3 or 4 people, all under the age of, say, 35.
Yeah.
And they're just texting. And I
Yeah.
really always want to go up to them and say, are you guys texting amongst yourself? You know, you're 6 inches away. I, doing the radio and TV work that I do, I work with producers and promoters and PR people, and I can always tell when somebody that I'm working with is young, because I'll say, let's talk, give me a call.
Yeah.
And they don't do it. They'll send me another email, they'll send me a text. I'm really,
Yes.
I text all the time. I
Yeah.
may not be as fast as some people, but I do text all the time. But it's not the way I like to communicate. I'm a communicator. And this is communication. You and I are having a relationship, a conversation right now. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
shows
I'm
itself
wrong.
up. No, you are correct, Mark. It shows itself up also in the dating world. I have a great dating life, and I can tell immediately, just like you said, 35 years old, 36 years old, they're not going to ask to call me on the phone. They're going to ask to text me on WhatsApp. But older the age of 36, I'd love to talk to you on the phone. It really is a shift that I've seen. You know, talking on the phone is pretty personal. You can't hide behind words. When you send a text, you lose on the tone, you lose on the level of sarcasm, and it actually opens up a lot of opportunity to trigger people, because you can say something one way and someone can receive it in a totally different way.
You've been talking to my wife.
Yeah, so that's why a phone call, you can get to know their sense of humor, you get to know who they are. And so texting is fine. And a lot of times people text to say, can I call you?
Right.
We are all so busy and we're doing 1,000 things at once. So getting undivided attention these days is difficult. It does require more of an effort. And not everyone deserves that effort. But if you truly are genuinely interested in someone, by showing them you want to give them your undivided attention, will only be received well.
You started your career as a traditional marriage and family therapist.
Yes.
And then your own marriage fell apart. 16 years, 3 kids, and a dog. Was it an epiphany that you were the only one going through this problem of finding a new relationship, of meeting new people? What made you come up with this idea of helping people hook up?
It's a great and fair question. I actually answer this right on my website. The video is, what's a dating coach and why listen to a divorcee? Because it makes sense. But your marriage didn't last. So I have some answers for that. My career actually started even before I became a marriage family therapist. I really understood the idea of law of attraction, like attracts like. And I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be married. I had my one boyfriend from high school that was all the dating experience I needed. And I was ready at 22 years old. I had enough experience in life to know that my life I was ready for my soulmate, and that's when my life would really begin. And so I even back then mastered the laws of attraction. And within 30 days, I manifested the man who would later become my husband of 16 years. Along the way, I helped many clients and couples manifest their relationships. My own relationship was not meant to last, but I don't think it was a failure. The only way relationships sustain themselves if they grow and nurture and adapt along the way, because curveballs will be thrown at you and your relationship, and both partners need to be able to adjust to these curveballs. Not everyone can. If you're on on a train and you're headed to New York and your partner gets off at St. Louis, it's going to create a problem, because relationships don't stop. Their needs still need to be met. So now that I'm back in the dating world.
I'm sorry, relationships are also a living entity.
Right.
It's not black and white.
100%. Exactly.
See,
They are a living, moving entity that you have to continue to adjust, adapt, and nurture with. And people who can do that can do it for the long haul, and it's a beautiful thing.
Our guest is Daniella Bloom. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
It's a beautiful thing when a man and woman can continue to choose to put the partnership first and not be afraid to grow and adapt, work on themselves, work on the partnership. Because when you are with someone for decades and you're still holding hands and you're still smiling, that is a beautiful thing. And it shows up in every area of your life, not just in your relationships. In general, you're a happier, calmer, more patient, tolerant, loving person.
And we like the reference you did earlier to law of attraction, because I try to practice that and try is not the right word. I practice it.
Yeah.
Our guest is Daniella Bloom. You can find out more about her at daniellabloom.com. Her website address is on our screen throughout our conversation. So please visit her and ask questions. That's what she's there for. I'm really interested about the fact that you said you have an active dating life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is this like shoe shopping?
No.
Dating
well,
is
it's definitely
like shoe shopping.
Yeah. It's quality over quantity. And I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. And I have been able to successfully manifest, create, and meet amazing, wonderful men who cherish me, who adore me, who appreciate me, who value me. And that's because I hold myself to a certain standard. And this is why I teach what I teach. It's not the number of people you attract, it's the quality of who you want to give your attention to.
One of the issues that I've thought about in terms of online dating, in terms of meeting somebody on Zoom, saying, "Hey, let's have a conversation. At 4:00, let's have cocktails together. Let's have dinner together. You make this, I'll make that. We'll eat together as we talk." All of these things make sense. But how do you know that the woman that you're talking to isn't married and has 3 husbands? How do you know that the guy doesn't have a wife or 2? And he says, "Well, I don't have any kids." Well, yeah, he doesn't have any kids living at home, but they're 46 years old. They're about to move back home because that's what all kids do. But you're laughing at that. How do you know? You mentioned authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's got to be the most important thing there is.
I've never one time had that ever happen to me. I've never gone out with someone who's lied like that, where they're presenting one way and I find out they have a completely different lifestyle, because like attracts like. So if you are hesitant to date because you feel that there's a lot of liars out there, guess what? You're going to be attracting liars. So it starts from within. It's not a matter of let me get my FBI kit out and scrutinize every guy I date. That's not the energy you want to bring to dating. Dating can be extremely exciting, healing, fun, magical, and it can open doorways to even deeper relationships and future. But how are you showing up? If you are distrustful of men or women, or you're still healing from a breakup, if you don't even know what a healthy relationship is, you haven't had the best models around you, you got to get clear on that first. And then it's much, much easier to go from online to offline dating success. I know all about the subliminal messages that people put on their profiles, and we get into that in our work together. But it first starts with you. How are you showing up?
As we're talking now, any subliminal messages I'm sending out that I need to correct?
You're doing great. You're giving me great eye contact. You're listening. You're smiling. These are all good things.
All right, that's good. The way people meet today is different than when I was dating. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember working with a couple of what they called at the time video dating. And people would go into a studio and they'd go, "Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a talk show host. I specialize in health right now, though I've done all kinds of things." And they'd go on and give a litany. And in 2 minutes, they'd introduce themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody would say, "Gee, Mark and Daniella should look at each other's videos." And Danielle says, "Nah, no." 15 seconds into it. The same thing from the male perspective. But that was the beginning of what I'm calling online dating. And it's become extraordinarily popular, not only because of the pandemic and quarantine, but I think it's just the way technology and people are moving on. Would you comment on that, please?
Yeah, we do have a challenge of having too much choice. And we don't just have one app, we have 10 apps that we could be on. And it is true, we only get one swipe to make a first impression. And that is why, if you're going to be online, you don't want to half-ass your profile. Can I say that? I'm sorry. That was...
Let's see. Yeah, you can.
Okay. If you're going to do something, do it well or don't do it at all. Because yes, women and men have tons and tons of choice. And even if you match and you date and it's a fantastic date, these apps make it so accessible to say, that was good, but let's see who else is on tonight. Let's see who else I've matched with. It's very hard to stay present and disciplined with who has your attention. And it does require way more of an effort today than ever before, when we did not have the apps, when we did not have technology, and we really were relegated to the people in our towns.
Yeah, exactly. There are 5 people who are single.
Right. There, she's single, Jenny's single, Mike is single. All right, there's the match.
That's it, right? Yeah. I met my wife at a singles dance.
Uh-huh.
And it was, a connection. And of course, I didn't call her for 3 weeks, but that's another story. Okay. But there was that opportunity to talk a little bit. We danced, we had some wine, we talked. I had to leave. I was working late that night. But my point is that with all the choices, I mean, it's almost like going to a supermarket, and you say, "Gee, I need mustard," and you go down the mustard aisle, and there's sweet hot mustard, there's sweet mustard, there's mustard with jalapenos,
tell me about it. Yes.
Horseradish. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So how do I know what's the best app and the best choice for me? Is it just, as you said, law of attraction, intuitive?
Again, it's getting clear on what your objectives are. There are certainly better apps than others, but it starts with how you show up. So again, quality attracts quality. If your app is not representing, a really high quality, well-rounded, authentic individual, you're not going to necessarily get that back. And I work a lot with really successful, high functioning professionals, male and female. And you look at their dating app and there is such a disconnect, and people don't understand how they step over their own feet. They have good intention. They're like, "But this picture means I'm this." And I'm like, no, it actually means that. This is how people are perceiving it. And they're like, "Oh, yes, you're right. That makes so much sense now. This is why I keep getting this kind of person or that kind of person." So sometimes you need to pull back the lens and have someone like myself say, if you want to attract this, you need to show up this way, and let's get you clear on that so it's clearly translating.
So Daniella, what you're saying is that having that third eye, if you will, that third person.
Yeah, I call it a profile makeover.
Okay. And you could do that for business as well, actually. And
Yeah.
so my point is that having that person on the outside take a look at your profile, talk to you a little bit, ask what your goal is. I just want a casual relationship. I just want a friend. I don't want to be married. I don't want a sexual relationship. Whatever
Yeah.
the person wants. Right.
Yes.
And you help them put that into proper perspective on their profile.
Absolutely. And there's all different ways to have relationships today. There's no, before it was, do you want to be married or not? And there's so many different ways to connect with people. I am not in any way here to judge that. I'm here to help you get clear on that, so you attract, whether it's high quality short-term, high quality long-term, high quality companionship. It's getting clear on what you want to magnetize to you.
And a lot of people mess up. I almost said screw up, because their profiles aren't right.
Yeah. Well, it's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right. Exactly. In our last couple of minutes, let's talk about dating in the senior community, say over 50. Are people over 50 still looking to date the way they did when they were kids, or are they embracing the new technology?
They are embracing the new technology. Some of them need their handheld because it could be decades since they were dating if they're coming out of a long-term marriage. And you're like, what is this? What is an app? And what if this person's an axe murderer? Like, it is really a shock to the system, because it's irrecognizable from the days that they were single. But they quickly learn to embrace it as the sign of the times. And once they adapt, they have great results. It's never too late to bloom right where you're planted in life and love. That's my
a great way to end our time together. Listen, if you want some information on Daniella, go to DaniellaBloom.com. That's DaniellaBloom.com. There's some videos there that my friend Mark Franklin put together, and there'll be some other information there that you can take a look at to help your life, because we all want that, what I call movie magic love.
Yes.
Don't we all want that?
Yes.
We want to live the Hallmark Channel, is basically.
We do. Yes. But underneath that is where real love comes in. And how ready are you for real love? Well,
how ready are you? I'm Mark Allen for Daniella Bloom. Thanks for tuning in here on Late Night Health. You can visit us at latenighthealth.com. You can visit us at facebook.com/Late Night Health Radio. LinkedIn is linkedin.com/Mark Allen. And you can find us on most of the major podcasting systems and networks. Again, I'm Mark Allen for Late Night Health. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.